Hey, hey. So, back from mini break from the deck. Had a vacation, I guess, mini vacation this weekend to Vegas, gambled a little bit. But here's what we're playing tonight. Mostly what I've been playing, before my mini break. The new addition, obviously, being the snuff outs. I think the more free spells we can fit, the better. But the difference tonight is this is similar to what I played against Jarvis last Wednesday, in the Elves versus Delver, you know, uh, duel, I guess you can say, where we played 4 matches, 2 each. Same list. The difference is I cut the Force of Vigors for a crowd rotation and a Caracas because I wanted to make sure I can consistently beat green white depths. And I think to do that, you either have to run 2 copies of a card that answers it after they main phase activate Thespian Stage, for instance. So that's either going to be run afoul or crowd rotation for Caracas. Run afoul is good because it overlaps with Delver. The issue with that card is it tends to be only good against like Merit Lage decks and good against Delver. And even against Delver, it sometimes can awkwardly not hit a Murktide if they have either a DRC or a Flip Delver. What I wanted, the Snuff Out in general is the better card because it's just like completely broken against things like Death and Taxes or like Goblins or anything tribal essentially, including the Mirror. I wanted to try the Crop Rotation Crocus package instead, so I don't lose those percentage points against the Merit Lage decks, and in general more flexible than Run Afoul. So there's an argument to be made. Maybe we don't need the ley line, but I think especially in leagues, it's kind of not safe to not run ley line. Also, they tend to be higher impact than Force of Vigor in general for the respective matchups. Also, more matchups where leyline tends to be relevant too. The reason to run, I think, Force of Vigor at the moment would be 8 cast, but you're already very favored. Also, Death and Taxes, but again, also very favored. I think those 2 decks in particular, especially 8 cast, are the reasons to play Elves right now. Because you have a good matchup, and especially 8 cast tends to suppress a lot of your bad matchups. Or maybe not bad per se, especially given how flexible the sideboard is now, but more so decks you'd rather not, roll the 50-50 die on, so to speak. Um, the third reason that is not irrelevant to play Force of Vigor at the moment is um, the 8 mulch deck, which a lot of like the people you would see typically gravitate towards Reanimator or Moonstompy, essentially an easy to play deck if you're not as familiar with the format. Those players tend to have gravitated, I think, towards 8 mulch, but Leyline of the Void does have text in that matchup as well. Granted, not as good as Force of Vigor in that matchup. So with that said, the main deck is pretty much the same. The big difference is I wanted to, having my PhD in mana bases, right? I wanted to make sure at a respectable mana basis, respectable mana base. So I trimmed 1 copy of Boseiju for the 8th fetch, just because I wanted to cast snuff out for free on time. Also cast the Thoughtseize against combo decks on time. But everything else is pretty stuck. So we'll see how we do. If anybody if anybody has questions or whatnot, feel free to just ask me. There are my socials. So my Patreon, I think, has been gaining some traction, even more so of lately. So I want to thank everybody who's subscribed. Even if you haven't, don't have the means to, for instance, YouTube is a good avenue with all my old content that I will post there. Obviously, you can catch it on Twitch as well on replay, but I think Twitch will delete